Mermaidcore the summer, but not the way thing. Mermaidcore is quite a popular aesthetic for summer, but I want to talk about different version. Not the Disney version with the colorful skirts, sequin tops, perfectly wavy hair, sparkly eyes, and little plastic seashells. But if we talk about more striking looks as an example, I really like this one, a more fairy tale-like version. At the same time, the look isn't overloaded with details, makeup, or accessories. The dress plays the main character. It's slightly sheer and paired with bleached eyebrows and a hair color that makes the skin look a bit almost sickly. And on this contrast, it looks incredibly stylish. It creates an impression of something ethereal, maybe even slightly Tim Burton-like. I want to break down the more dark, cold, slightly unsettling one, which I find more interesting. I've already talked about Mermaidcore on my TikTok, and this is one of my best performance videos. So I wanted to break it down properly more in details here. What it means, how to wear it, without looking like you're going to a birthday party for 12 years old. And also where to find pieces that actually work. Let's start from the beginning, because I think context matters here. The mermaid is a mythical sea-dwelling creature often described as having the head and body of a woman and a fish's tail below the waist. With such a rich and varied history, the symbol of the mermaid is as changeable as the sea itself. In some cultures, the mermaid signifies life and fertility within the ocean. In others, she embodies the destructive nature of the water, luring sailors to the depths, serving as an omen for storms, unruly seas, and disaster. So they appear in folklore almost across every culture, and they're almost never cute. There's always something a little dangerous about them. Something that pulls you in, and then you're not sure that was a good idea. And that's exactly the energy I'm interested in. People now often this aesthetic as a siren aesthetic. Though, fun fact, sirens in original mythology are actually half woman, half bird, not fish at all. The ocean version came later. But the feeling, that pull, that thread, that's what I'm working with. The other direction is more angelic. Still raw, still a little otherworldly, but lighter. Less dragged you under at midnight, more appeared at the shore at 6 AM and you're not sure what you saw. Both work. Everything I'm about to say applies to both. You just adjust the palette and the balance, depending on where you want to land. So first of all, textures. Texture is really where this whole thing lives. Open knitwear, sweaters and skirts that look a little destroyed, like fishnet that got tangled somewhere and stayed. Mesh, torn textures, things that look like they have a history. Wrinkled fabrics that look like they dried right on the skin. Fluid, heavy materials, the kind that move when you move and feel like they're slightly waterlogged. Snake and crocodile textures also work great here. There's something about them that reads as scales, as something that lives between two worlds. And sequins, but muted. The color of fish scales, not a birdie balloon. When it's done right, it doesn't read as festive at all. It reads as strange, mysterious, which is the goal. Talking about colors. The palette should feel like it's been somewhere. Deep blue-green, dark gray, dirty, muted colors, muted greens, washed out yellows and beige that look like they used to be a brighter color, and just let go of that. Nothing bright, nothing that's trying too hard. These are colors that feel like they absorb something over time, and that makes you look like you have seen some shit and hold some secrets. Silhouettes are another important thing to consider when you're building a certain image, certain aesthetic. But honestly, silhouette matters less than anything else here. Wear what works for your body, for your comfort. That always comes first. Otherwise, you just will not reach out for these clothes. But if you want to lean into the reference more, then you should consider floor length or midi skirts. Kick flare bottoms, long sleeves, layered sheer pieces, things that suggest the shape without spelling it out. Accessories, bags, shoes. Accessories are the things that can bring the desirable mood into the outfit, even if it's quite basic. But this is where it's very easy to get it wrong. For jewelry, glass pieces that look like water or jellyfish These are generally one of my favorite things in this aesthetic. Creative, unusual, not something everyone is doing. But if you still want to wear some shells, you have to make sure they don't look very plasticky, that they look real, worn, textured, like they actually came from somewhere. It actually may be the real ones, but not the plastic ones. The kind you'd find in a souvenir shop somewhere on your holiday. It doesn't have to be a fridge magnet. Black and silver work perfectly here, because they also look aged, or like you found there on the shore in the old chest or something. Vintage rings. So the general vibe is pulled from the ocean floor, not bought at a beach resort. For bags, keep it neutral and little lived in. Cotton shopper, a slouchy leather bag, a silky pouch, nothing too structured, nothing too polished, or that looks like you could actually bring it to the office. And if you're choosing between a plastic shell clutch and a simple cotton shopper, I would always go for a cotton shopper. But if you really want the shell shape, go silver, go architectural, make it look intentional. For shoes, I would actually add some city vibes here to make it a little bit more wearable. It grounds the look. Neutral leather pumps, flip-flops, boots. But if you want a creative option, something like Giuseppe Zanotti, shoes with a fish skeleton, which is exactly the kind of reference I mean. Slightly wrong in the best way. Most of such pieces are quite expensive, but worth knowing about, even just as a visual reference. Hair and makeup. Hair should look like you've been somewhere. Again. Not fresh, not polished. Maybe slightly damp, but not too wet and glamorous, as if you just had a photo shoot. Somewhere in between. A messy braid, a loose updo, or just air-dried hair that you didn't touch after. Fishtail braid is an obvious choice, and I think it still works. Even just the name, doing something. Makeup minimal for everyday, something more grungy or wet looking for a special occasion. The idea is less I got ready and more I always look like this. So it's very easy to tip in a costume. And once you're there, you're not a mysterious creature, someone from the deep. You're just a person at a themed party. So the rule I would follow, pick one or two things that reference the mermaid world and let everything else be grounding. If you wear sequins, the rest of the outfit should pull them back. If you're wearing a shell, it must look like it came from an actual ocean. Never wear all reference all at once. The more you pile on, the more literal it becomes. And literal is exactly what we're avoiding. It's not supposed to be pretty, it's supposed to be a little bit eerie. That's what makes it interesting.